This meeting is being recorded.
Ooh, we have 2 recordings. Beautiful. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. We're going to give everybody about a minute here to funnel in, and then we will get started because this is a 30-minute session. A little different of a format, so we're going to get started in about 60 seconds. But nice weather for everybody, at least.
Yes, we have had nice weather.
I know Los Angeles. Don't even have to ask. That's the 405. That's the sales sun tax, I was told. The traffic is the sun tax.
That's right. Right.
Like, oh, fair enough. Thank you all for joining. We'll start in about 30 seconds. Yeah, and being a short week too, I'm just like off. Like, what day is it today? You know, having a holiday on Monday. All right. I think we got everybody funneled in here. So we're going to kick it off because we got to rock and roll here. Happy Thursday, everyone. I'm Tiffany Service Gustafson, a digital strategist for BWG Connect, and we are a network and knowledge sharing group. We stay on top of the latest trends, challenges, whatever it is that is shaping the digital landscape. We're on track to do at least 500 of these webinars this year due to the increase in demand to better understand everything digital. And we'll be doing at least 100 in-person small format dinners. So if you happen to be in a tier 1 city, feel free to shoot us an email and we'd be happy to send you an invite. The dinners are typically 15 to 20 people having a discussion around a specific digital topic, and it's always a great time. The majority of time we spend at BWG is talking to brands, software providers to understand the latest trends, challenges, whatever is happening within the digital landscape. Love to have a conversation with you. So feel free to drop me a line at Tiffany, Tiffany at BWG Connect, and we can put some time on the calendar. It's from those conversations we not only generate the content for future webinar events, but it's also where we gain our resident experts, such as the panel who's here today. So welcome you all. If you ever need any recommendations on service providers within the digital space, we have a short list of the best that we'd be happy to provide you. So feel free to reach out to me and we can put some time on the calendar to discuss that. Also, we know a lot of people are hiring right now. So do note we have a talent agency, BWG Talent, that we'd be happy to put you in contact with as well. So with that, a few housekeeping items. We want this to be fun, educational, informative. So feel free to drop any comments, questions you have into the chat. We'll be sure to get to them. If you feel more comfortable, you can send me an email at tiffany@bwgconnect.com and we'll be sure to get to them as well. And this is a 30-minute session, so we'll be ending at the 30-minute mark formally. If we have more Q&A and people want to hang on for those questions to be answered, we'll definitely stay on for as long as we need to get through those, but do note formally it will end within 30 minutes. So with that, let's roll and talk about leveraging data collection and a data-driven strategy to drive business outcomes. The team at Red Hat, Adobe, and Search Discovery have been awesome partners in the network. So I'm going to hand it off to the panel. If you each can introduce yourself, your organization, and then we'll dive into the information. Thank you.
I can jump in and start.
And Patty, you could start.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patty Behre. I'm a MarTech manager at Red Hat within MarTech and operations. And I've been working closely with Chris Sessoms for several years. For the context of this call, we've been partnering closely as kind of non-technical, technical product managers for the AAP suite of solutions.
And hello, everyone. Thanks for having us. Chris Sessoms, Web Tech and Infrastructure Manager. And in regards to Red Hat's Marketing, Technology, and Operations Department, I have about just over 20 years of optimization, analytics, MarTech, ad tech platform experience. And as Patty mentioned, we both came in at Red Hat about the same time. So I've had the pleasure of being at Red Hat and working with Patty alongside her for the last 7 years with a focus around Adobe tech, as well as digital transformation, whether it's analytics, target, audience manager, experience platform, workfront, AEM, DAM assets, all things that are in our wheelhouses. And being a part of this group has led to a lot of digital transformation at Red Hat, and happy to be here.
Thank you. Chirag?
Yep. I'm Chirag Deshpande. I'm a client services director here at Search Discovery. We are a data transformation company and have been working with the Red Hat team on helping drive business impact with the Adobe solution. In the capacity, we are also one of the premier Adobe partners and help with a lot of the Adobe solution activations.
Fantastic. Thank you all. So now together, you've all been on this journey, this implementation journey, discovery. Want to know, where you'd like to start of looking at, do we give an overview to the audience of, the why? Why did you start down this journey? And then also, the summary of the impact that from the business, the outcomes that came from that journey.
Okay. I can focus on those because I tend to focus on the value realization side of things. So first, a bit of acknowledgement. We, just to articulate this at the start, we turned to and selected Adobe Experience Platform for a couple of technologies that are built on it, the CDP capabilities that it has, as well as the CJA capabilities or journey mapping capabilities. And across those two solutions, the solution pillars that we were hoping to impact within the org were number one, efficiency. So, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this scenario, but when you have your data in a disparate, disjointed environment, that can lead to a lot of inefficiency. So we're hoping to solve for that issue or set of issues by bringing all of the data that, or as much data as we possibly can, which our marketers are regularly requesting to use and have access to, into a single platform environment. Closely related to that, and more on the CJA front, of course, is with that data being all joined together for that 360-degree view, we're hoping to be able to enhance our ability to draw and provide to the org meaningful insights, real meaningful insights, actionable insights on our prospects and customers. And then third, but also very, very salient, is with this technology set, we're hoping to, improve our resilience against this changing privacy landscape. AAP's got best-in-class features when it comes to protecting privacy and consent, and also as well as that first-party audiencing and how that can help improve resilience against the threats of our cookieless future. So these were kind of the three focus areas for us. And to dwell a little bit on the efficiency, because this relates to our kind of foundational implementation phase. So I can speak to the numbers a bit better. I mentioned earlier some of these issues that come from a disjointed data environment. We've got so many talented teammates, highly paid teammates, that are doing very redundant ad hoc tasks, right? So repeated asks for data access, repeated asks for data sets, repeated asks for ETLs. These things are happening on an ongoing basis, and it's repetitive and it's not necessary, right? So we anticipate that bringing all this data into a platform environment where queries can happen simply and efficiently, where additional SKUs can help automate the production of insights. It can free up hundreds, if not thousands of hours for, move them away from these repetitive tasks into more strategic, high-level thinking tasks. So we're really excited about that opportunity.
I have a quick question about that. Sure. Knowing all those, mundane tasks and all that time that was being used and the need, who initiated the need for this implementation? Was it the ones on the front line? Was it executive level? Was it your team or the tech team that really saw that call to action? Or was it a team effort?
I would say it was kind of like a hive mind, which is very reflective of Red Hat's kind of ethos. We are an open org, collective, very democratic in nature. So we are very much receiving input and feedback from top to bottom. And, so they're from the ground down to the top level. There's recognition that marketing is changing, right? Digital transformation is upon us. How do we stay relevant? These are things that we need to do. And of course, us being part of the Adobe team, recognizing this technology for what it is, we're also active drivers. So I think there is a universal recognition that change needs to happen.
And I think also it was an evolution of where we were at the time. Now we're 3-4 years after implementing Audience Manager, and knowing that we needed to improve and still evolve and progress our segmentation capabilities. Once we started to learn more about AEP and CDP and CJA and the functionality and the capabilities within those platforms, that's really where we started to say, okay, that's our next step. We know that we need to get there. What is the roadmap for that? And we have leadership that allows us to give us that leeway to say, well, what is the next step? And being able to bubble up and really influence those decisions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And for the audience, could we decipher the Adobe Experience Platform versus a CDP? How do they play together? And the acronyms too. So AEP is Adobe Experience Platform.
Yeah. Chris, I'll let you take that.
Absolutely correct. And then CDP is the customer data platform. So we've adopted one of the Adobe enterprise architects visualizations and understandings of the concept of a big brain and a little brain. Our big brain is all of our data, those siloed data sources, and then being able to select and be specific and strategic in which data sources do we want to ingest into the little brain of AEP, just like we have a little brain of Audience Manager, just like we have a little brain of analytics and target in the Experience Cloud. From there, we then start to parse out segmentation through the CDP. And then also going into CJA, we realize there's additional data source needs and requests from that function as well. So also making sure that we had data sets and data sources available in our little brain of Experience Platform that we could also parse out not only for CDP, but for actioning and visualization within CJA, being the customer journey analytics. Chirag, anything you would like to add there?
Yeah, and CJ is the customer journey analytics platform where we do a lot of the analysis component of that data, and the CDP is where we drive a lot of the activation of that analysis and segments that we've identified and want to drive up digital marketing and digital transformation use cases.
Perfect. Very helpful. Thank you.
So Tiffany, I just want to return to the beginning of your question as well, because the business impacts, I'm sure our viewers want to hear a little bit about this. This is the payload. But again, I referenced earlier that, for our foundational phase, we did kind of focus in on development of first-party audiencing strategies within segmentation. So that's going to be the focus of these highlight POCs. But of course, CJA, which is ramping up now, will be able to show, I'm sure, similar. But just to refer to my notes, so the first highlight POC result, it relates to paid. So we started using first-party audiences in suppression in certain paid media campaigns. And we anticipate that once this is employed globally, we're going to be introducing savings of about $1 million annually. The second key result also relates to the paid space. We've started doing some very interesting experimentation with first-party audiences in combination with Adobe's lookalike modeling capabilities. And when we utilize these kinds of audiences, in these sampled campaign motions, we saw optimizations to the tune of 196% decrease in CPL with a simultaneous 9% increase in CTR. And then the last POC we want to highlight is related to on-site personalization. So by using first-party audiences, we were able to bring in-house some certain transactional messages that would encourage earlier, at least timely renewal of Red Hat subscriptions. And that particular POC had a 3,000% ROI.
Impressive numbers. And then what were the business problems that you were seeking to solve?
Chris, do you want to take that one, or I can as well?
Oh, I think you're on mute, Chris.
Apologies. Thank you, Tiffany. We had 3 priorities around increasing marketer efficiency by consolidating the data needed in the business into a single platform, being the experience platform and the customer data platform, as well as customer journey analytics. And then our second initiative or priority was enhancing our ability to draw meaningful prospect and customer insights. So being able to actually activate that data that we're ingesting into the platforms and being able to cultivate useful insight and actionable insight. And then the third one was all around resilience of change as far as privacy and the landscape. As when we started this effort, GDPR was front and center. The California legislation was CCPA, and then of course PIPL in China towards the end of last year, and then the ever-changing as we roll into this year, additional states within the US adopting similar California legislation. I think there's now 5 or 6 new states that are taking on those actions and legislations, as well as just across the regions, and being able to understand how do we go into those channels, into those regions and markets with the right consent, the right opt-in, and the right preferences given by the visitors in a first-party context.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very correspondent to the solution pillars that we were trying to solve for, right? Those are indicative of the problems that we were experiencing. And all in all, I think, you know, digital transformation to me is representative of an inability of marketers to keep up with the demands of our jobs these days without the support of technology. So that's exactly what this provides us, an ability to scale up through great new automation and other features to just extend the impact of our individual work.
And this might be a question for Chris is, you know, what were the data sources that were brought in, and what did you learn along the way?
Yeah, so when we started this process last year in March, the experience platform SKU that was available for the CDP, customer data platform, was the B2C version. The B2B or the B2P version was still in beta and not yet available. So obvious focus point was the contacts and going through those B2C motions and taking our marketing automation data and being able to ingest it, but then also thinking about, okay, knowing that B2B and B2P will be forthcoming, how do we now start to maybe push the envelope as we typically do with all of our tech, including Adobe, and really start to reach forward and start to connect our contacts to our own accounts. And luckily we had teams within, well, across the organization that were already doing those motions and being able to connect our contact database with our CRM and relative databases, even across sales, and being able to understand how those contacts, data sources, and their associated account, sales, commerce, or e-commerce and sales account data are intertwined and interconnected, but being able to separate them so we know who are our contacts that might be prospects that are not yet tipped to a customer perspective or might be in a free trial within a product, and giving those options to be able to start to nudge individuals from different layers of known to the next progressive layer of known. And across that, we really focused in on the contractual limitation of our profile count and how the CDP is structured in the contract. And knowing that we had, I think at that point in time, 70 million profiles, and knowing that we gauged how many contacts do we have in our database, how many Experience Cloud IDs do we have from the Adobe side of the house, knowing that we're going to marry those together as our key value pairs, if you will, is starting at that foundational level and going to the masses and being able to understand, okay, what's going to be upcoming once we round out the end of this year and start to progress towards the next functionality of customer data platform and customer journey analytics, and being able to understand what other data sources might we need to consume along the way, whether that's reaching forward to the future of product telemetry data or product usage data, some of our other third-party data, whether it's data feeds from 6 Sense or Datarama or Bombora or Demandbase or Dun & Bradstreet, being able to start to then do some progressive profiling and fill in some holes in our first party data and really enrich that data so we can go to market with it in an effective way. And I think the lessons learned that you asked about was quickly learning
any surprises that you're like, whoa, wasn't planning on that one. Good to know.
The importance of the proper documentation along the way. So one of the efforts that we had with this three-pronged approach of Red Hatters combined with search discovery team members, combined with Adobe consulting team members, was the data mapping exercises and being precise in planning of what data ingestion do we have, what are we going to need, and what are we going to need to plan for easier data mining and schema creation. Definitely leaning towards that XDM schema that's provided out of the box by Experience Platform and Adobe, and being able to align our data in that fashion. So we now have, whether it's Google Sheets or Google Drive or any of our resources that are artifacts now, we can now go back and refine them and do that rinse and repeatable pattern as we start to ingest either new data elements or new data sources, or even we've had already some shifts in our data where we might be doing the end of life of one data field and replacing with a net new data field. So having that structure in place and having that muscle toned reaction and having that at practice was very helpful, especially as we start to evolve.
And as you were putting these planning phases and looking at the scope of it, who were the stakeholders that you had to engage off the bat that had to be in the room to make sure that this was going to be a success?
So I'd like to jump in there. So, you know, kind of as the non-technical product manager, right, I focus on these kind of stakeholder management, you know, use case rituals. And I will say my key learning was just an appreciation for the scope and scale of this technology. You know, if you think about how any of you out there, how your organization operated before Salesforce and how it operates with Salesforce, it's that kind of magnitude of change, potentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we, of course, sat down with all of our marketing stakeholders and all the adjacent that we are typically kind of used to engaging with, right? We're used to engaging with marketing plus sales, marketing maybe plus some procurement. But, and for this in particular, and Chris can speak to this better, of course, marketing plus our data partners in product and beyond. But even though I think we did a pretty thorough job, we could have been more expansive still and made that tent even broader. And we were able to make some pivots, right, and adjust as we kind of understood who might be impacted downstream by this. But I think that was a key learning for me.
And being able to focus in on those users at a data level, we also really got to dive deep with the product and platform owners of our CRM and our contact databases, and going into the motions and letting them understand that Chris Sessoms might have multiple devices, multiple email addresses in our ecosystem, but that the power of the Experience Platform, a customer data platform, is that identity graph that really gives you almost like a molecule visualization of how do these ECIDs attach to these emails. In our case, we hashed all of our identifiers going into the platform, keeping the platform fairly PII simple, and then being able to understand as users and web visitor behaviors become more frequent, that those profiles that might be independent at the beginning would start to collapse and become a unified profile that we can act in accordance across multiple browsers, across multiple devices, and across sessions.
And that's a really great call out that I didn't really specifically mention as kind of, you know, our resilience pillar, but identity resolution, you know, cookies going away.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big driver.
Yeah, definitely. And for those, because we're coming up about 5 minutes left, if you have any questions, feel free to drop into the chat and we will get to them here before we end. Curious about the implementation timeline. How long did it take to implement?
So with our three-pronged approach, I'd like to give ourselves a little bit of a shout out and a pat on the back. Between SDI and Adobe and our Red Hat teams, I think it was 6 to 7 months from start to finish. There was some ramp up of being able to articulate correctly to the Adobe and SDI teams our internal data structures, and especially these disparate data sources that we wanted to ingest with a variety of marketing automation platforms, a variety of sales and account platforms. Being able to pull all that together and articulate a unified vision for what we want to see and be able to act on an AEP and CDP, but also being able to really move the needle quickly and be very agile. I would definitely give shout out to Chirag and the Adobe consulting team for keeping us on task and really pushing us forward. But Chirag, gut check me, it was around 7 months, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't say end to end was 7 months. Core implementation and technical work was probably around the 4 months time frame.
And I'd like to give a shout out to Chris Sessoms, who also did a mountainous amount of work.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that is a huge project in 7 months. That is very impressive. So very well done. So I guess in closing then, what's next for AEP, in your opinion?
Sure, I'll take that one. Well, there's so much. there's so much.
It's a loaded question for the last 5 minutes of the hour.
No, truly. I mentioned at the outset that we focused on segmentation as our kind of foundational use case, right? Because that's what you have to do at the outset with AEP. You have to, build the profiles, and then it's just natural to go into segmentation. Segmentation, though, feeds into CJA. So, we're focusing on the efficiency pillar at the moment, but next is the insights, meaningful insights. So we're really looking forward to, surfacing all that we can with this powerful new tool, because, now that we've got this ability to join together so many dimensions and see our customers' journeys and what these happy paths really look like across touch points, we're hoping to really be able to drive some new, augmented ROI.
And I think also being able to understand the evolution that we took between Audience Manager and Experience Platform, and now having a warehouse in AAM and that little brain data lake of unknowns or anonymous visitors that we have the opportunity to now dive deeper into and hopefully get them to fill out a form or raise a hand and self-identify, register for an event, engage with chat. So many options there to self-identify. But then that allows us to then push them into the customer data platform for segmentation, but having actionable audiences and segments in both platforms and then having them integrated across multiple channels has also led to a new understanding of digital transformation for us at Red Hat, and given us the opportunity to move some of the Adobe tech to the hub and moving the channels out to the spokes and being able to act accordingly, and being able to do multi-channel and omni-channel marketing in a precision fashion.
Awesome. Chirag, any closing comments, advice from your stance?
No, I mean, I think one of the things not specifically, I mean, I think the Red Hat team members have covered the core components. I think one of the things is when you're evaluating a new platform that's going to drive a big change like this is to make sure you're accommodating for change management controls in the process as well. It involves a lot of team members, involves a lot of people, processes changes, adoption, education. So you definitely have to account for all of those elements as part of your implementation. So it's not just, hey, here's a platform, but it's like, yep, I've got the Ferrari and I just have been driving not a Ferrari anymore yet. So how do I go about learning about the nuances of getting acclimated to the platform, getting the processes and governance under control so that it just doesn't go haywire or falls flat. So I think those are the other components that always has to be considered as part of such a big transformation.
Awesome. Beautiful closing. I love it. So Patty, Chris, Chirag, thank you so much for your time. Great information. Thank you all for joining today. We definitely encourage a follow-up conversation with Red Hat, Adobe, and the search discovery team. They'll definitely be worth your time. And we'd love to have a conversation with you. So feel free to drop me a line at tiffany@bwgconnect.com and we'll set up some time to chat. So with that, have a great weekend. Take care, stay safe, and we will see you on the next event. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks all.